PorkRoll and Taylor Ham podcast. We've made it to week 3. And being that we all have no idea how anything in radio works, I think we deserve a pat on our backs.
Practically famous.
Yeah, we have like 60 listeners. Well, who knows? It could just be like one person listening 60 times. But we had 60 downloads, and I think that's pretty good. Like, I'm happy with that.
We have like 80 followers on Instagram, so we're super popular.
Most of them are dogs, but that's okay.
No, they are.
If I'm gonna have people follow me, let it be a dog.
It might as well be dogs.
So
today I went and checked our Twitter, PorkRoll.Vs Taylor Ham, and I went and I saw the number of followers, and it was 666, and I was like, oh my goodness.
It's a good time.
I did see that too. Okay, so this week we promised hot topics when we started this thing. So this is I think our first hot topic,
Yes,
like really hot, like steaming hot, gonna burn yourself hot. This week we have feminism.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying that made me a little nervous.
And in case you were wondering, that's the sound of a searing noise because it's going to be a burn.
All right, so one of the most talked about and most misunderstood terms is feminism. I think we can all agree.
Yeah.
Now, please don't turn off this podcast. Please, we're begging you. I know what you're thinking. I don't need to listen to this bullshit. It's just a bunch of man-hating liberals that hate Trump. Just give us a chance to explain why we wanted to have this discussion. This was one of the first ones that we planned out. And just hear us out. Hear James out. He's a man that's decided to sit down for this. Feminism really isn't a bad thing. It's not bad. People honestly don't really know what it is. And I just want to give you the chance to learn.
I think as a whole, like even feminists don't know what feminism is.
Yeah, we'll go into that.
Like, we're not all on the same page.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that because there's a lot of different sides of feminism. But believe me, I know there are some bad people out there that do think it's man-hating. And there are people who call themselves feminists and they hate men. I'm telling you right now, they are wrong. Give us real feminists a chance to explain. Don't listen to those idiots. They're wrong. We're going to try and keep politics out of it as much as we can. I don't want anyone to associate feminism with being political and hating Trump. And it's hard to separate, especially right now with the climate that we're all living in, but it can be done. So I just want to say that if you're Republican, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I don't want you to turn this off because you're afraid that we're going to try and brainwash you. Okay? That's not going to happen. I love all of our listeners.
You might try to brainwash you to love Jersey, but...
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Like, I think people are okay with that. But I love all our listeners. I want to help you guys. The world would be a lot better off if we had a little bit more feminism in it. And I'm going to explain to you why right now. So, there are gender roles in this world that exist. And within these little gender roles, men are typically identified as being masculine. I'm doing some air quotes. Mm-hmm. And that's usually defined as they are more rational, they're more intelligent, they're more assertive and confident. And then you got the other side, the other 50%, and that's feminism. Now it's just on my brain. Feminine. So that's typically labeled as being passive, weak, unintelligent, and shallow. So the complete opposite of everything that masculinity is. And I think now we got both genders sitting at this table, and I think you would agree, James, that masculine means, as a boy, I think you would agree that you're expected to be this.
Oh, absolutely,
this,
and
tough guy.
As being even brought up, I mean, Dad was that way too.
Mm-hmm.
Dad from the get-go was always about, no, stand up, put your chin up, no crying, nothing like that. I remember, oh my God, it's like a burned memory. The first time I ever got out playing baseball, and I didn't understand what getting out meant yet. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was like 4, I think. But I remember he was the first base coach, and I didn't want to leave first base, and I remember getting upset, and like him actually being like, no, you don't do that. You don't do that on a baseball field. And he goes, now you go sit down. And I remember that almost like it was yesterday. Like that memory is so clear to me. And it's almost kind of like that, throughout life, being a boy, also being the youngest of 3 with two older sisters, that was my role. I had to be as, masculine as I could be.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that goes for a lot of families right now, and I'm sure that kind of went for Kenny, Rissa's brother, a little bit.
Consequences arise when these two gender norms, they're not met, and men and women begin to go outside of that. For instance, an example would be if a girl all of a sudden wants to be that intelligent, powerful person, and when a guy wants to be the more sensitive one, and then all of a sudden, then people are like, no, that's not allowed.
Then they're both called a bitch.
Yeah.
Like, the woman's called a bitch because she's being assertive
Mm-hmm.
and trying to get what she wants, and a guy's being a bitch because they think he's being like a sissy.
Yeah. And so, and girls, you have this limit that you're allowed to reach, and which is allowed, allowable thing that society has told us we're allowed to do. But men, you just keep going, just keep running like Forrest Gump, just keep running. But girls, it's like where you're told that okay, you can do this, and then all of a sudden they're like, no, okay, no more.
Mm-hmm.
You're a girl. You're supposed to stop here, and then just accept that that's life, and that's good enough. Now, this isn't talking about. This is male privilege, which is the ability where no one will judge you if you want to go in and go on. Okay, listeners, I feel like we apologize every week. We live in a very loud house, and so this week we have Marla visiting, which is Rissa's dog.
She's so cute,
and she likes to voice her opinion.
She's a strong, independent.
You know what?
puppy.
Maybe it's appropriate. So if you hear a dog barking, we apologize. There's no stopping her. There's a lot of windows in our house.
She's living in a man's world. She wants her opinions to be heard.
She goes to every single window and just barks until that person is dead.
Yeah.
Like for years, for like a good 80 years, she's barking and she's dead. So
there's just some background.
So we really
barking.
apologize for that. But maybe it'll just tune it out. It is a hot topic, so listen to what we're saying and tune out the shrill of the dog.
It's a cute bark, okay?
Maybe to you. Okay, so back to male privilege. It's in no way meant to imply that men are evil, okay? This is, let's get this
not
out.
Like a man-hater
no,
club.
We're not saying that male privilege means all of you, because yes, you are, so James is a white boy. You've got male privilege.
White boy.
But,
white man.
Okay. But you've got white privilege. White privilege. We'll get into that later. But you have male privilege, and that's no means to say, like, oh, screw you because you have privilege that over us. That's no way what we're saying. You just, we'll get into that, about acknowledging your privilege and then using it for good. But it's...
I just read this quote on, Instagram today, and it's, to those accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression.
Yeah.
Which I feel like that's why people get so defensive when people bring up feminism, because then people that do have male privilege are like, they're not used to it at all.
Yeah.
So then it's like their whole scales unbalanced.
Yeah, well, all of a sudden now they have competition. If we're equal,
Mm-hmm.
now they have competition, and now somebody's on the same playing field as them. And I think a lot of people think, well, if everybody gets, and yes, girls, technically on paper we have equal rights. We have rights to our bodies.
Not all rights to our bodies.
Well, what don't we have?
Well, there's still the hot topic of birth control and abortions. It's still
but it's allowed.
Still, it's allowed, but it's still they're still trying to take it away.
But that's a lot of every time I hear something like, oh well, I want equal rights, and they say, well, you do. Nobody's taking you have right to abortion and birth control and stuff. I'm like, no, I mean socially.
In high schools where they have the dress code.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Exactly. So how we're not allowed to wear? I don't know how it was in your high school, but girls aren't allowed to wear no bra straps. Oh god,
no.
Not bra strap. Are you kidding?
We used to have
bra strap.
Two fingers.
And your shorts had to be as long as you touch. If you put your hand down on your side, you're standing up. Yeah, your shorts had to reach your fingertips.
Distracting.
Yes.
We weren't allowed to wear yoga pants either.
Yeah. True. Can't do
Which
that.
They literally cover your entire, the entirety of your legs. I don't understand.
But boys, there's no, code for boys. And instead of saying, hey, boys, how about you don't objectify girls? And you know what? Pay attention to what's going on. Stop saying, because what it is saying it's, okay for boys to stare at girls. And it's okay
this is
for
why
them.
you don't get good grades.
Yes.
Someone's wearing yoga pants.
Yeah, and it's it's okay for you to use that as an excuse for you not learning, is because a girl's wearing a spaghetti strap tank top. No. How about we flip it around and say, no, stop being a dumbass and look what's going up on the board, because she should be able to wear whatever she wants.
Well, I think it's as simple as, I mean, when it comes down to it, I almost feel like you teach your kids right. You teach your kid that, if you teach your kid right to treat women with respect, I'm saying kid as in boy, male, obviously, and if you teach them to treat women with respect early, I mean, I kind of feel like in the long run, it definitely helps them out.
But the sad thing is...
Well, I'm saying, like, when it actually comes down to it, because they won't be subjected to that kind of stuff. I mean, yeah, when you're young, and it being from a guy's point of view, when you're young and you're in middle school or, early high school, yeah, there are guys, and I'm sure your friends will act like that and everything. But I'm just saying, I mean, in the bottom pit of your heart, you automatically know if you're, that way, that's wrong.
The sad thing is, though, that it's a lot of girls, too.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I can't tell you how many times I've been talking to friends, and then somebody will walk by, and they'll say something like, "Oh, what a slut!" Like
girls can be
just as bad.
Problem.
Yeah, just as bad. And it's ridiculous, because every girl has the same, a lot of the same experiences of dealing with stuff like that, and it's such a shame that we're not learning. I'm sure I've done it. If I know a girl who dated a bunch of guys, and you call them, not that I ever said it to their face. We went over that. I'm very quiet, but it's definitely going on in your head, and like, it's so sad that, girls are raised this way too, to think that all these things are wrong. So, I want to know what are your first thoughts when all this, that I'm fairly new. I guess I sort of always had some sort of feminism going on, but, like, I always had it in me, but it's not until recently that I became a lot more vocal about it.
I always was a feminist, I just never realized it, because I always thought being a feminist was a bad thing.
Yeah.
And, like, I think I, like, accepted, like, being a feminist when I realized, like, anybody can be a feminist. You're not, like, a man hater who's gonna go, like, burn your bra and, like, not shave your armpits.
So what were your first thoughts on... Like, when someone said feminism, before you really knew what it was, what were your first thoughts?
Well, I mean, the first time I really, like, popped into, like, noticing it and everything was mostly on social media news, and I tend to not follow any of that. When I first saw it and everything, I just kind of, okay, it's just another stupid article. But then, you start seeing the parades on, actually, like, just walking past the TV and the news is on, you see all the giant parades. Then you see people that are marching through Washington, D.C., Philly, through New York. And, it starts to be, it starts to become more aware that, okay, no, more questions are being, thrown out there without any answers.
So, for me, for me personally, I don't know how it is for everybody else, it's the only right way of thought. Because the dictionary term of feminism, and I got it written down because I brought my notes, it is most simply defined the movement for social, political, and economic equality of men and women. So that's a big thing in there, that men think that it's just for girls. You can be a man and still be a feminist.
Would you like to hear the Urban Dictionary?
I did read it. I want to throw my computer out the window.
This is just like why... Like, I don't understand why it has such a bad name, but this is what Urban Dictionary's definition was, and it's pretty awful. An ideology that supports that women are superior to men, whether biologically, socially, or mentally.
So it's pretty much the opposite of what the real term is.
And then there's another one that is women have already achieved
stimulate
more
my brain.
rights.
Oh, great. So it's really just the opportunity for a woman to choose whatever path in life she wants. That's all it is. But also to have the same rights as her male counterparts. And if men feel intimidated by this thing, then that's their problem.
Yeah.
Because for a long time, if you ask our moms and you ask their mom, our nana, they're simply going to say, like, you, after college, you got married and you had babies, and that was it.
Secondary school, basically.
Yeah,
that was, like, your only option, really.
Both of our moms only got to go to secretary school, which is like a 2-year program, and you pretty much learned how to type fast.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to disrespect. I'm sure there was a lot of tough things. I know my mom learned shorthand, but she doesn't even use that now. Like, you were learning useless things. and but it was just to set you up for
it's
this
not that
life.
it's bad. It's just that was the only thing,
Mhm.
like, because it was their mother.
And if you
let
ask
me
them,
know.
they're like, when I was a kid, like my mom wanted to be a cop, and Nana straight up told her, no, girls don't do that. You know, girls.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's so sad.
Mm-hmm.
Like for all my life, whatever I wanted to do, it was like do it and do it better than anybody else has ever done it. And it's so sad to think like they're not even that old. Like it's when you think of this, and it's like this was only 40 years ago, and it was that like they weren't allowed to do what they wanted to do. Like that's so sad to think about. It's just depressing. I don't know how clear cut you can be. I mean, we have examples right there that girls were not allowed to do whatever they wanted to do. I mean, I'm sure, and that's not to say because
and that's not even like that wasn't like the law or anything, but
no.
it was just like it was culturally like just not allowed.
Yeah, it wasn't accepted. So, next topic that I have written down: how did you get involved with feminism, Marissa?
It was really like this last election where I was just like, wow.
Me too.
These things, like, they're just not right. And, like, honestly, it was a lot because of you. Because, like, you were kind of, like, shoving in my face. And then I was like,
I have
after,
a
like,
way of doing that.
Yeah, after, like, you,
with
like...
a lot of things.
After it's, like, put in front of you, you're like, no, whatever. Like, cool, I got rights. Like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, wait a minute. But, like, I have these rights. But it's still, like, there's this whole culture that's not backing up what we have on paper.
It just baffles me sometimes when you read about some things that guys are still saying today. And things I've experienced myself. And it just is baffling to think that people are fighting against this so hard.
And it's just like, we just want to be like you.
That's it. That's all we want.
Like, it's not like we're trying to, like, kill all you off and, like...
Yeah.
And, like...
Which is what they think.
And just, like, use your, like, Handmaid's Tale, except reverse.
Yeah.
Like, because, like, that's not what we want to do.
No, not at all. It's just, we just want to be treated equally. That's literally all it is.
And it's just, like, little things, like, our cousin Nicole, what is she? She's a CFO?
She's got a nice job.
Yeah,
I just
she's got a nice job. But, like,
well.
She was telling us a story about how, like, she walked into her new job and, like, goes up to, like, her, I guess, like, new people in her office, goes up, and people are like, oh, so, like, you're the new secretary. Like, just automatically assuming that that's her role.
Yeah.
When really, she's a boss-ass bitch and is ready to come in here.
Yeah, my idol.
She is pretty cool.
So the way I got into feminism is the same way. I can specifically remember saying, I think it was about 3 years ago, I was having a conversation with an old friend of mine, and something was going on with something about feminism, and I remember saying, like, I couldn't care less. Like, and even, I remember specifically even saying, like, an equal pay, like, what is it? Like, 30 cents, what difference does that make? I was so ignorant to everything, and I completely did a 180, but I remember with this, and I didn't want to get political, but again, it's how I got into it, so I'm going to have to bring it up a little bit.
In this day and age, it's hard to separate it, because it is how you got into it, and it's just
so I'm sorry. So
it's so relevant.
I'm not telling you that you have to share my same views, I'm just saying this is how I got involved. Right. So I'm just, this is how I got involved, so I'm just story time. But it was, I was reading, again, like James said, like reading a lot of things. I've been on Twitter for a while, but I never used to write. It was more just follow my favorite celebrities. And then, I think it was pretty visible that a lot of celebrities got very involved with this past election. And they were writing a lot of these, and it was a lot of women, and but some men too. I mean, Mark Ruffalo is huge. Yeah, Jack Antonoff. It was a lot of men and women started writing these things about. But I was reading a lot of these things and how important it was to, like, stay woke. So then I read this article, and it was all of these things that Trump has said about women. And it was like, there's receipts for these, okay? It wasn't fake news. Like, it was like interviews that he has said these kind of awful things about women. And coming from a girl who's been the girl many times as the only girl surrounded by boys. In school, in sports, in science. I've been the only girl many times. And to hear these things that he was saying, it just disgusted me. I mean, I could feel the enragement of my innards just, like, exploding. So then the grabbing comment comes out, and that was it. That was just, I had it. I couldn't believe, and I think that just goes to show, when he comes out and it was like a half-ass apology saying that it was locker room talk, big air quotes.
Which, I got a lot of friends in a lot of locker rooms.
Don't talk like that.
Don't talk like that.
So, and I mean, we'll get James's perspective on a second on how boys talk. But that comment came out, and I just couldn't believe the people defending it. I said, and women defending that comment, and like, it's sexual assault. I don't care how you try and spin it. And as someone who has been sexually assaulted, I found it disgusting.
And if you're running for president, you're held at a higher standard.
And just anything. I don't want you to speak. I don't want James to speak that way.
But just the fact that like he said this. And he's still president. Like,
and
that says a lot about
I remember,
how we are still way back.
I remember seeing things on Facebook and people defending it. And I'm like, I am one of those girls who has been grabbed and has been, it just had really awful things done. I wasn't raped, so I don't want to go there. But I have awful things done that were not wanted. And to have this man come out and say, who is now the president of our country, I don't care what he ever does, I will never support this man because of how disgusting things that he has said. I just thought, I couldn't even believe that our country was behind this guy. I'll never get it, but that's my story time of how I got involved.
I'm going to break it down to you right now. The reason why it's so obviously wrong as to why that statement is so vulgar and disgusting is the fact that this is our leader. Yeah. This is the guy who represents all of us. The millions of us that live in the United States.
And think about it. This is the guy that little kids who are extremely impressionable are supposed to be looking up to.
Exactly, and that's what it is.
And if you Google him, like, what is the first thing that's going to come up? It's probably going to be like
some stupid comment that he said.
It's you're giving a man so much power where he has so little of respect for women.
Exactly.
That it's making other men. Like,
it's giving them this platform.
I could talk to someone like that.
Exactly.
I could go and say, no, you shut the fuck up to some woman who it's like they don't deserve that.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, when it happened to me, I didn't say, and for a long time I didn't think I was assaulted
because you don't know what it is because it's just like the culture of being out in a bar.
And I didn't push the guy away, and I didn't push away, and I'm thinking, no, it couldn't have been assault because I didn't say no, I didn't push him away. But I will never forget the uncomfortable feeling that took over my entire body when it was happening. And it was in a bar. And this guy just walked up to me and just started grabbing me, kissing, and everything. And I specifically remember feeling so uncomfortable, I wanted to, like, tear my skin out. And then when all this was going on, I'm like, actually, I was sexually assaulted. And just because I didn't say no didn't mean that was still right for him to do. Yes. And then I didn't invite, I wasn't even talking to him. He literally just came up to me, never said 2 words to me, came up to me, started, grabbing, and it was just awful. And so I just thought it was just, when all of this was going on and that comment came out, I started doing a little research on feminism and found out very quickly, if you just do a little research, found out so quickly, like first link on Google, that there's nothing wrong with feminism. It literally is only 100% beneficial to anybody who decides to believe in it. And that was that. Now it's been a whole roller coaster since then. I mean, now, as you can see, I've turned these two into feminists. Maybe Rissa willingly. James was a little hard to get there. But again, James...
There was some tantrums.
James was raised as, to think that he's...
that's what he has to do.
And so it's really tough. It's really, really tough. And that's what I think so many people are misinformed. And I think if you just do a little research or maybe just listen to this. Just listen to the words we're saying, and you'll be fine.
There's Rissa opening up another one, drunkie.
So while I was doing all my research,
I'm here for the beer.
While I was doing my research, I got you come across like really cool ladies and just really, really awesome, inspiring ladies. So now we're gonna have feminist icons of our lives. I was going to say of the week, but like they're of our lives, okay? We're not giving them to our week. All right, so Rissa, what are your feminist icons?
Well, I have one. She's like pretty interesting. She was a pirate, actually.
Amazing.
Yeah. And in a time when, I don't think pirates were ever like supposed to be like captains were supposed to be women. Like,
no, I never knew that one.
Exactly. So this was a Chinese pirate. She was actually a prostitute first.
Oh, great.
Yeah. She was a prostitute and who was captured by pirates in like 1801, and she married this notorious pirate and Chang the First until his death. And then once he died, she like took control of his fleet.
Do work.
She was like killing it and like took control
Literally.
Literally. Like she took control of his fleet, made it like a business instead of just like pillaging and like stealing. Like
Around what years were?
well, she was alive during it was 1775 to
Oh, okay, so I thought it was a lot. So this is like Pirates of the Caribbean time.
Yeah, like
Actually, Pirates of the Caribbean, I looked it up the one time. It's like 1720 to like 1760.
Oh,
so
cool.
like right after.
Yeah.
But like she just like took control of his entire fleet, and like the Chinese government tried to go after them, and like she defeated them, and then they had like British bounty hunters trying to get her, and like no one could get her until like and like she made the strongest pirate. She had one of the strictest pirates law of the time with severe punishments like beheading. But like
fun.
There was like beheading if like they were to go and like they'd steal from like farmers who would give the pirates food. So like she was smart.
Yeah.
Like if they were gonna give her food, she's not gonna like go and rape and
work
pillage.
the system.
Yeah, she killed it. And if like one of her sailors cheated on his wife, beheaded.
Yeah.
Like she just had like like the strictest code of all pirates ever. And like they weren't allowed to steal from like the public or villagers. It was mostly just like the government she was going after.
It's like a Robin
Which was
Hood
probably like super.
Yeah, sort of.
Back to. Did I ever say her name? Madam Ching.
Yeah, you did.
You did? Okay, just making sure. Got like really. I was like, she was a pirate and she did all this cool stuff. She beheaded people. It was really fun.
We'll find out when we listen back.
But yeah, and in 1810, the Chinese government actually offered her universal pirate amnesty in exchange for peace. All she had to do, like, she had to, like, give up, like, some of her men. I think, like, 400 of her men ended up being, like, imprisoned, and 126 were executed. But, like, she had, like, 80,000 men. So, like, that was, like, nothing.
Wow,
like,
it's like an
honestly,
army.
like, throw them under the bus if you're going to get, like, amnesty.
Yeah, seriously.
And she ended up, after all that, and some of her sailors were allowed to go into, like, the Chinese military.
Oh, okay.
So, like, win-win.
Yeah.
So, since they couldn't catch her because she was so badass, she got amnesty. She ended up opening up a gambling house and died at the ripe old age of 69.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's pretty old for her back then.
Yeah.
Like, she killed it, especially like, of this time. Like, imagine what she had to do to get respect of all of these super masculine men living on the seas. And, like, you think, like, back, like, sailors, who are, like, more manly than, like, a bunch of sailors.
Yeah, true.
So my second line is Pink, because she is so badass.
That's a good one.
She's so cool. I mean, she has amazing music. She is, like...
Awesome voice.
And she's, like, not, like, your, like the classic beauty that, like, you see in, like, a lot of Hollywood and, like, in the music industry.
Yeah.
No, she's
like,
very unique.
Yeah, and, like, she's always made fun of for being, like, overly masculine and having, like, short hair and, like, all
I
this
remember
stuff.
reading about because she's got a sick pack of abs.
She's got abs for days.
And I remember reading, like, people like, oh, that's not attractive on a woman. And she's like, no, she's really
like,
proud of my
I'm
abs.
freaking strong,
Yeah.
so I don't really care what you say. But, like, she's done, like, so many cool things. Like, she proposed to her husband, and she has always spoke out about gay rights, and she's pretty political, too. And, like, she's had songs, like, political songs, where, like, she called out the president for, like, the don't ask, don't tell policy and everything.
What's that one song that she has? So what?
Yeah, so what?
Yeah.
It's very,
It's literally just, like, so what? Like, I'm gonna do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still, like, I'm a woman, I'm powerful. Like,
so
fight me. Yeah, exactly. That's how it goes.
Yeah, I know.
We need to get the rights, or else we're gonna get sued.
It's not copyrighted.
But, like, she also says, like, I have, like, a bunch of her quotes here, but I'll just read one. We don't have time. My definition of freedom is knowing who you are and then being it, no matter what anyone else is doing. Which I think is really cool, because I think that's just, like, what we want feminism to be.
Yeah.
Like, just, like, let everyone do whatever the hell they want, as long as they're not hurting anyone.
Yeah, that's the thing. Feminism is not hurting anybody.
That's, like, the bottom question. It's, like,
bottom line.
Who is it hurting?
No one. It's just men, for whatever reason, think that something's being taken away from them if we get on the same level, and that's not it at all.
I mean, for some there might be. Like, for some people that don't deserve to be there, it might be taken away from them.
That's true.
But then if they are prospering from male privilege, then that. But, like, then you don't really deserve to be there. If you're
If there's a girl who's more qualified and more intelligent to be in that position, then yes, you do. Unless pick it up and get on her same level, or you don't deserve to be there
in the first place.
So James, queens of your life.
Well,
besides me.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, my queens for feminism. I'm actually looking at your wall right now.
Yeah, so for the listeners, so I kind
We'll
of
post a picture on Instagram.
Yeah, you'll see it. So I have I just decided to have like a wall of some of my favorite people, like my wall of inspiration, if you will. But it's not. I definitely look at it and I'm like, oh, I forgot that one. Oh, I forgot that one.
Like little Sebastian.
Yes, of course. May he rest in peace. But like it's like I keep adding to it, and then as I keep thinking of more, because I'm someone who's inspired by many. So James actually has one on his list.
Yeah. So my icon or my queens, they're mostly. I mean, for the listeners at home and whoever is listening, I'm a huge movie fanatic. Like, I grew up just watching massive amounts of movies to the point where I watch them over again because I've watched everything that I was so interested in, and I just got hooked on them. So most of my quote-unquote queens are their characters. My first one that I wrote down was the first one that came to my head, is Rey from Star Wars The Force Awakens. She is probably one of the most outstanding, mind-blowing characters of the Star Wars universe. Now, I'm gonna go into a real big, Star Wars rant right now, but anybody this was coming, guys. Come on, come on. I'm 3 episodes in. You're lucky. All right, so so for anybody, I mean, that's obviously watched Star Wars. You know that to become a Jedi, you have to go through years of training, to the point where it's you are taken from your family, put in the Jedi Academy, and by the time you're 18 years old, that's when you become a Jedi. That's all you do for your life. Rey grew up on a desert planet as a scavenger, alone, not knowing who she was treated like dirt, had to work just for the right amount of food just to live. Lived in an old, abandoned, broken down Imperial walker.
Completely took care of herself.
Exactly. Yeah. From the age of when she was probably 5 years old, and then one day, boom, the Resistance gets in touch with her, and there she goes on her journey to her destiny, where it is she doesn't know absolutely no idea who she is, and right at the end of the movie. She finally,
alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert, in case you haven't seen it. I mean, you've had 2 years. Anyway, but she finally finds herself right at the end of the movie. I'm gonna go into really deep detail about the scene. So Luke's lightsaber gets stuck in the snow. Kylo Ren is trying to use his power
Kylo Ren is he's the most powerful,
the Jedi that they have out now is
he's the most powerful at the moment.
But
Kylo Ren
comes in.
Exactly. Back to where we're going. So Kylo goes to use his powers to go try and grab Luke's lightsaber, but when he goes to pick it up, it wings right past his face, and
my favorite scene probably in any Star Wars, and I really like Star Wars. But James and I went to go see that Star Wars 2 days. We had an opportunity to go see it 2 days before it really wide release came out, and that scene, and again right when you feel that
chills.
Not chills. I was ready to go shadow boxing. I was ready to go out. Yeah, I was ready to go out. Come at me, bro. Just ready to take a man down.
Come at me, Kylo.
Yeah.
No, but so the lightsaber wings past Kylo Ren's face and right into her hands. She did not need any sort of training. It just came to her, and that's when I feel in the movie, she kind of realizes who she is. You see it in her face. She's so confused and overwhelmed with feeling. She doesn't know what to do other than turn on the blade,
kick ass,
and go ape shit on Kylo Ren and fuck his face up for killing Han Solo, his dad. Spoiler alert. Sorry.
Do you have another one?
But I also have most James Bond girls. I mean, that's the the quote unquote nickname that they really give them. but they are leading female protagonists. In the early ages of James Bond, a lot of them were just mostly like, a damsel in distress,
when
wearing
you first
bikinis.
said it to me, I gave some side eye because I was like, they're only known as Bond girls. They're in like pretty, they're like in,
pretty dresses, flashy jewelry.
Like he gets to do all the cool stuff, but I think recently they've definitely upped it. Like
which I think is also like a huge topic, like how the female lead has like
changed
over the years.
Absolutely, but but a lot of them. One of Harley's personal favorite James Bond girls is Wei Lin.
I loved Wei Lin.
Yeah, from Tomorrow Never Dies. It's a Pierce Brosnan movie from 1997, and she's like this kick-ass Chinese secret agent, and she's like the equivalent of James Bond for China. Like, she's awesome. Another one is, the big one right now is Moneypenny, who is like...
That's a good name.
Naomi Harris.
Yeah, her character...
They completely redefined the character.
Yeah, she used to be almost just a secretary, but now they got her in the movies. She used to be an agent. She does so much more to help James Bond. It's not just, here's your paperwork for your mission, go on your day. It's more or less,
I'm saving your ass, kind of.
Yeah, like, here, watch that corner real quick. Upstairs, you got two guys upstairs, and she really, like, watches out for him. And it's really...
And it's, like, not that she couldn't do it, it's that she chose to do this, so, like,
exactly.
She kills it.
Yes. Okay, so this is a third one, but this one's kind of in there as a joke, because, one, it just makes me and Carly laugh so hard. It's from The Incredibles. It's Edna Mode.
She is, though.
Mode.
So, she is like... Okay, so anybody that hasn't seen The Incredibles, but I'm pretty sure you have, because it's one of Pixar's greatest movies... It's about a family of superheroes. Edna Mode makes the costumes for the superheroes. Now, in the movie, the wife thinks that the husband's cheating on her. They're both superheroes.
Get yourself together!
Exactly. Put yourself together! Go! Fight! Win! But, like... So, it's just... Her character is very, like, no, this is how it needs to be. This is how it's going to be. No kicks! But her character is
no nonsense.
Yeah, no nonsense. Straightforward to the point. And really, that's how I think it should be in real life form. Straightforward to the point. Like a fucking arrow.
Okay, so my personal feminist icons, I don't want anyone to think that we're like, oh, you left this person out. I'm like, no, I could literally sit here.
She literally has a whole wall, too.
Yeah, like, I could sit here all day and just go over how each individual girl has meant something.
We're thinking of you when we cut her down.
Yeah, and it was, it's true. Because, like, and it was really hard for me to, like, cut my list down to, like, okay, I want to talk about this one. Minor ones are very, like, you know them. I don't have to go into detail of who they are. You want to be any louder?
I'm just trying to get... Alright, well, obviously
you know what? Interrupting women. Is this not a metaphor?
Oh, but Marissa can do it when she's opening up her beer.
What we're doing right now.
Alright, well, sorry.
I'm going against gender
you guys want to drink your beer? I want
my first
vodka.
one is my queen. And I have a lot of queens. I say that, and it's become at this point.
Yeah, when you said that, I was like, I had like a list of like 10.
One? Yeah, but because I do, they all, I hold them all at the same level. My first one, the Michelle Obama.
Fun fact, Carly has a picture of Michelle in her bathroom.
Yeah.
With two thumbs up as you're taking a shit.
Because I wanted to see her every day. What room do you really go in more?
Okay, see, there's a thing called a nightstand. It's usually the first thing that you turn over.
No, I wanted the bedroom. I go in the bathroom more than my bedroom. I wanted her in. I wanted to see her beautiful face every time I go in my bathroom.
In case you don't know, Carly has irritable bowel
She also has
syndrome.
Donald Trump on her garbage can.
Yeah.
We'll actually send you pictures of her bathroom on Instagram. Look us up. It's really interesting.
Because she's trash. So I have a little... I have a little quote next to it because, like, you know who these people are, and they have such well-spoken women, so I wanted to just give you a little taste. So Michelle Obama said, "Every mother works hard, and every woman deserves to be respected."
Girl!
That was beautiful. My next one is, now, I wanted to look up a video on how to say her last name, but you know her as the Malala. I don't want to do like her injustice.
No, we know.
By saying
She's like
her name.
Beyonce.
You know Malala.
You know
yeah.
Malala.
So, I love her so much. If you don't know who she is, please look her up. She's such an inspiration. She's like 18, 19 years old. I love her so much. I put this quote up for International Women's Day, and it still stuck with me. I think it's so nice. But it's I raise up my voice, not so I can shout, but so that those without a voice can be heard. We cannot succeed when half of us are held back. Love it so much. My next one, a little controversial depending on what news source you're listening to, but regardless of your thoughts, you cannot deny this woman's power that she has given women, and that is the Hillary Clinton. So, I just think she's one of, I know she's had stupid mistakes, I know she's flawed, but what she has done for girls is so amazing. I can't praise her enough for what she has done.
She started.
Yeah, I can go all day about her. I respect her more than anything else. I just think she's amazing. I don't want to hear. If you want to go listen to Benghazi stuff, go listen to a Trump podcast. That's not where we're at. So, my quote for her is when she lost, and this quote, and I was crying. It was very, very hard day for me when I found out she lost. But this quote, it made me cry, but not so much cry because I was sad, but more because she gave so much hope and there was so much beauty in what she was saying. So this quote's a very famous one now. And it's, to all the little girls who are watching, never doubt that you are valuable and powerful and deserving of every chance and opportunity in the world to pursue and achieve your own dreams. It meant so much to me, just thinking of I just hope little girls did hear that, and they do hear that, because to see that again, I don't want to really get into it, which I said I was going to get into it, but here we are. But
you can't not.
Yeah, it's hard with the climate that we live in, and to see this man who had done horrible things to girls and said horrible things about girls, and to see him, where we rewarded him. He was rewarded for what he did.
It kind of makes you think, wow, this is what the country really thinks of as women.
And to hear her, and this is after the hours after she lost, and to hear her say this, it just made me feel so hopeful for the future, and I really hope that other people felt that way, and we can build on that. My next one is Carrie Fisher.
Ooh, my fave.
She's still, seeing anything about her passing still makes me tear up.
And I feel like she really embodies what being a feminist really is, because she is like, I'm flawed. I have all of these flaws. I'm addicted to drugs. She just whatever. But she just always was like, this is me. Yeah. And I'm still gonna be just super powerful woman.
When I was little, I don't remember really having any icons that that I saw in movies. I don't remember it. It was just not something that was around. And then I also can't remember a time where James and I didn't know what Star Wars was. Our parents put that on that for us probably since when we were 2 months old. But so I always had Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia. She was just everything to me. She was just, I cried. I was out running, and James texted me and said she had died, and I had to stop and sit down because I was crying so hard. To have that role model of when they're in the Death Star, or not the Death Star, the starship, and Luke and Han come to save her, and she ends up getting them out of it, and just the trilogy of movies, and to see her in the Force Awakens as General. Yeah. And to see that no, she didn't stop and just be princess. She went and got to the ranking of General. I just think she's absolutely amazing. I miss her so much. But her quote is, "Screw beauty, it's superficial anyway. And my other attributes matter way more than my appearance," which I love, because I'm someone who doesn't, I sort of, in a way, care about my appearance, but I would much rather call me intelligent, call me the smartest person in the entire world. I would much prefer that I would much rather prefer you call me that than say something about my appearance. And I love that, because when in Star Wars, and how they all just, men just treated her like she was just there to be this sex symbol, whereas women watched her and just could not get enough of how strong and powerful she was. Mm-hmm. And I just love that. My next one, I'm telling you, I can go all day. I got 2 more, so.
Yeah, I feel underprepared.
I know.
I thought 2 was going to be
my next one is the one that you may not know. Her name is Sylvia Earle. She's a marine biologist. She's 80 years old. She's the cutest little old woman. she's still going down in submarines, in deep diving submarines, and she's still working today. She's got so many documentaries out. Her newest one's called Mission Blue. It's so good. But it's all about how the ocean has been changing, how we really need to do something about the environment, and she's just really inspirational. But she started out as in the 60s when women were not allowed to do these things, and she just said, I don't care, like, and they called her all these names. She goes, okay, call me whatever you want, I'm still here, I'm still gonna work. So her quote is not exactly a feminist quote, but it still relates that it's an inspirational quote. And she says, our past, our present, and whatever remains of our future absolutely depend on what we do now. And I kind of related that to, you can relate it to a lot of things, but I related to speak up now. I'm going to stand up because
like social issues, you could go to science, really anything.
That's it. I'm standing up now because now, if I don't, I'm hoping to educate someone else and maybe they'll stand up. And then, who knows?
Which you have, because I probably wouldn't be as political and into activism as I am now, because you literally spoon fed it to me.
That's my goal, is stand up for what I believe in, because there's nothing wrong with I believe what I'm
and there are things we disagree on a lot of things.
Yeah.
But it's just good to hear other people's opinions.
Yeah. And then so my last one is Serena Williams. I love her so much. She just had the beautiful little baby who's gonna turn out to be best tennis player of all time. If that's what she wants. If she doesn't want to be that, that's okay too. But I just think she's amazing. She's just love her so much. And so her quote is, when called one of the greatest female athletes of all time, she responded with, I prefer one of the greatest athletes of all time, which I just love, because why, she is one of the greatest athletes. Stop belittling her by just saying the greatest female. Just because that's not enough.
There's no difference. There's absolutely no difference.
No,
just because there's different leagues does not mean that you're in a different portfolio of athlete just because you're a female.
So me and Carly were pretty much raised similarly. We were both raised to be feminists, and we didn't even realize it.
Yeah, I never had any idea.
No, but it was just it was mostly our fathers who did it.
Yeah, I read a quote. So if we're filming this right after Time Magazine just put up their most influential women edition, and I think it has maybe 40 influential women. But in the one of the quotes in it, and I can't. It was a person who raises money for charity. That's a title of a hard word to say. But she said something. She thinks that a huge part of realizing the struggle of women and kind of accepting that things need to change as you get an adult, you realize that you were kind of held back for a lot of your childhood. She said that a huge part of it is the influence of your father and how you were raised by them, which is so strange because James had this very you need to be the man of the house sort of childhood, and me, I was kind of just do whatever you want, and I was a tomboy, as tomboy as they come, and it wasn't now it's oh, it's a cool thing to say, but I was a tomboy. But again, it can go back to when a tomboy is a lot more socially acceptable than it is to have a boy that kind of is more sensitive, and because when you have a tomboy, it's oh, that's my quirky daughter. She likes to play in the dirt, and she likes
it's almost
sports.
You show it off. No, she can be the boys.
Yeah, and my dad loved that. But my dad would also, I can tell you, if he was here right now, we'd be fighting every night at dinner because I'm sure he would be not a Trump supporter because he hated politics, absolutely hated politics. But I can definitely tell he would probably agree with a lot of the attitude, you stupid women, oh, it's just a joke, why do you even care? But I think subconsciously he didn't know. He pushed me so far into no, I'm a girl, and if I'm gonna do it the same as them, or I'm gonna do it better than them, and they're just gonna have to deal with it. I played sports with just boys until I was 14 years old.
Yeah, me too. And it was just my dad was never no, oh, you lost because you're a girl.
No,
don't worry. But it was no, you lost. Why did you lose?
Yeah,
and I'll even say it. Me and Carly would be on the same team. Carly was better at me than playing baseball.
Yeah.
Carly, when we had to actually go and get trophies, I got the participation trophy. Carly went and got the Golden Glove trophy for the Little League that we played for. And she was the only girl that played in the league. And I'm not saying at all that they gave it to you just because you were a girl.
No.
But no,
Yeah.
Carly was an
She
actual,
deserved it.
genuine baseball player. Even at the age that she was when we were like 10 years old.
Yeah, that's just my dad always wanted me to be. He didn't care if he was a girl or a boy.
No.
He always wanted me to win.
And it was
And most of my friends were boys, so
Mhm.
that's who I was playing with at the time. And he'd be like, I was like playing at the park. It's like, oh, I lost to so and so. And I'd be like, why'd you lose to them?
Yeah.
And it'd be like, well, they're faster. And he's like, no, you can be just as fast as them. It doesn't matter.
It was like it was okay for us, for them to be completely like, no, you're just the same as anybody else. But if it was anybody else, it was like, no, hold on. And it should. Your dad is a little bit better, a little bit more open-minded than I think my dad definitely was. I remember arguing with my dad over women playing at Augusta, the golf course where the Masters are played. I remember arguing, like, as a teenager, I wrote an essay for school about it. Like, no, girls should be allowed to play, because for a long time, women were not allowed to be. They might have been allowed to play, but they couldn't be members.
Does golf really stand for gentlemen only, ladies forbidden, or is that just like some stupid thing that eventually?
I don't know. I've never heard. So, but I think as a female golfer, you definitely feel they do not like you on that course. And these stupid men who think that they're Phil Mickelson, and like, yeah, you're hitting over 100. But these stupid men who think, like, you know, that they're so good, and that, like, I show up as this young girl, and they definitely, like, you're definitely looked at because you're this young girl. I was just taught, like, no, that doesn't matter. You don't care. You go play, and you go play, and you go be better than them. And so, but that's how we were raised, and we had no idea until I was old enough to, I guess, within, like, the last 2-3 years, when I kind of started, like, waking up. And with all this feminism stuff, and kind of realizing, like, oh, I was always, and actually my dear, dear friend Maria, which I hope you're listening, my dear friend Maria from Greece, but she,
you're so cool. Friends from Greece.
You know Maria.
she's
the nicest person in the world. But she, I had put up a tweet the other day, and she said, and it was, I said, if there's one good thing Trump has done, it's that he's made me an activist. And she says, no, she goes, you were always an activist. She goes, you're just more vocal.
You just didn't realize it.
She's like, you just stood up now. And I thought that hit so hard. I was like, my dear friend Maria, she just always knows the sweetest things to say. I was like, man, and she doesn't know, like, I'm still, like, this was last week she said it. And, like, every day since then, I've just been like, yeah, Maria. Yeah.
Get the head.
You're right, Maria. She's just like the nicest, sweetest person. So shout out to Maria from Greece, because I just love her so much.
No, but I really do think that, like,
we were always this way.
And it was like our moms were always like, yeah, I think for our moms it was different because they are women. They're like, no, like, because like women always know, like, yeah, we're all equal.
Yeah.
No offense, James, but I think it's the men who have to like get on the same. And some women
that
need to get on.
Some women.
Yeah. They need to get on the same page. So our moms were like, yeah, of course they're going to do this.
Well, that's what we were having a discussion about this a couple weeks ago, and I said that, like, my mom is, like, halfway. Because if I ever said...
Right about there.
If I ever said, like, you know, this is really hard because the boys are making it really hard for me. And because I was the only girl in a lot of things, and, the boys are making it really hard. And I don't ever remember saying that because it didn't happen. But if I ever did say that, my mom would be like, well, screw them. You know, go do better than them. But then, like, for the women...
Your mom would, and if once you did, she'd be in, like, the boy's face, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, like, for the women's march, cousin Nicole had gathered all these girls up and was inviting all these people. And so we went to it in New York. And it was the most inspiring day of my entire life. But it was like, I asked her if she wanted to go, and she was like, no, I'm not. That's not me. I don't do that. And I'm like, but this is where...
you raised me to be this way.
Yeah, like, you made me this way, and now all of a sudden I'm saying, come on, let's do it. And you're like, no, that's not me.
That's where I think it's just the name of feminism has with that.
Yeah. And it's because I said it the other day, and she was like, well, no, I believe in all that stuff. It's just I don't like the label. I don't like labels. I'm like, well, it's not a bad label though. Like, I'm not labeling you a homophobe, like, which is a bad label.
Yeah.
It's really not a bad label. I don't get it, but they also were raised like it's
like ingrained.
I have to be impressed with how far they are. Because
there's just this whole generational gap.
Yeah, for being raised as what they were, I have to be proud of how far they are mentally. Because for that, I don't know how you think when you're raised that way. I don't know. I mean, I think you and I are so lucky to be raised the way that we were.
In this day and age, male companions, they're very intimidated by when their spouse, girlfriend, wife, whatever, make more money with that or with them, and I don't think that it should be that way. In my own situation, my girlfriend makes more than me, and we're both very much okay with that. It doesn't intimidate me. I love it that she makes more money than me. She's very happy with what she does, and it makes her very happy, and I'm very happy for that she has that. And
that is definitely a big. That's another
it's like a gender role that man's supposed to bring home the bacon.
Goes all back to gender roles.
Yeah,
it's exactly what I said. So when you go outside of those gender roles, all of some problems come up, and that's a huge one. I think for a lot of men, and we're saying it's okay, boys. You don't have to, because we don't look down. A feminist will never look down on a man for making less.
No.
If you're doing the best you can,
and if
then
you're
that's
doing what
all.
you want to do and you're making and you're happy, just like I feel like feminism is like everyone's equal, everyone's do
It's just
whatever
a really
you want.
happy thing.
Just like
I feel like let me ask you girls this: when you, let's say you're in a higher position, either one of you, and you see a man who is underneath you in the company, and you see him doing the best, absolutely best that he can do, it doesn't matter. Just the fact that he's doing the absolute best, that effort just really shows what it is.
I don't see, and I know a lot of people who, I don't know how at this point you can still say, oh, feminism is bad, after we've literally been talking probably for like an hour about how it's such a good thing. But I know a lot of people will be like, no, you're just saying this because you just want to say the right thing. I would not say that I'm a CEO, and I got two people underneath me, and one is a guy and one's a girl, and the guy is doing better, then he's going to get a promotion. Yeah. I don't see I know.
It's just about getting what you deserve.
Yeah.
If you're good enough, you'll get it. And that's just the problem right now. Like,
but the problem is that if you're a girl, then and I don't even know if people are doing it intentionally or if it's more subconsciously. Yeah. That they're like, oh well, no, you're a girl, you can't do that, you can't be that smart. And because if you look at a guy, then it's like, but I think a lot of it is, a lot of people, they would say, no, I would never do that. But it's a lot of it has been, this is just the way, since the moment we came out of our mother's loins, we have been told that this is the way it's supposed to be. And it's with men and women, and I think for a lot of it is that you don't realize you're doing it.
And you say it a lot with James. You're like, do you understand, like, pretend I'm Carly for a second.
Of course you want to be me.
Like, she says it to James all the time. She's like, imagine what comes out of my mouth, you saying, it comes out 10 times more powerful than if I say it.
Oh, yeah.
It's all
just
male
because
privilege.
You're a white male.
Yeah.
But it's just, but like, why is that? Because
if I say something about feminism, then I'm a hysterical female. Yeah. Of how dare, you're crazy.
And then if he says it, he's a woke male.
Yeah. But that's why I say your voice is so much more louder. I could be screaming till my face is blue. But as if he says just the tiniest thing, then, and like a couple of weeks ago, James wrote something on Facebook, and it was like, women do not get the respect that they deserve. No. And I thought he was like hacked, because I couldn't believe.
I remember that. Well, no, I was sitting me and my girlfriend Sierra, we were sitting next to at the bar, and we were talking about that when I posted that. Is that no? It is a giant issue. And I mean, I think the reason why we were talking about it was that there was a TV in front of us, and they were talking about it, and I could read the subtitles about saying, like, I think it was something on Tommy Lauren, who, oh my God, I cannot stand. I'm saying it publicly.
Just in case you're listening, Tommy, I hate you.
Yeah, if you are listening, Tommy, you are the worst person in the entire world, and I hate you.
I hate you.
I hate you more than anything
Trump.
In the world. Yeah, and that's a high level hatred. Yep. What a disrespectful word I will not use.
She is the definition of privileged.
Yeah.
Privileged.
Yeah. We'll get, you know what, let's just plan
Oh my God.
There should be shit talk about Tommy Lauren.
Man, last episode we talked about Marissa making a burn book, and here we are.
Yeah,
no, I can make a burn encyclopedia about Tommy Lauren.
And with additions. Additions.
First, second, third.
Okay, so we've heard from the girls' side. Let's turn it over. Let's get a man's point of view. So, being a feminism and growing up, I was always taught, to always be fair no matter what. I mean, I remember when I used to go and be like sideline during Carly's basketball practices, I would always just kind of hang out, and my dad would be coaching the team, and I would be brought into drills sometimes just to be like a body. But my dad always said, no, like this is how it is. This is how it's fair. And I've always just from the get go, I've always been like this. And
I think you have a big struggle with because you are a sensitive guy.
Oh, absolutely.
And I can totally see the struggle in being a sensitive guy. And even today, and a lot of your friends, because I'm friends with them on Facebook, a lot of them if someone saw them crying, they would probably like go kill that person. So then they would never be allowed to ever say that they ever saw them crying again. I think it's a huge thing, even today, like to be a sensitive person as a guy, because again, it's more acceptable for a girl to like sports and even as an adult, because it's one thing if you're a tomboy and you're a kid.
What's that quote? It's like, we're
gonna this out. Going back to it, I mean, from the get-go, I've always been taught to be fair. And going through high school, it was kind of weird because I was brought up a different way, where I feel like in this, day and age, a lot of boys and a lot of men, they don't have those traits. And I felt almost kind of out of place. I felt like, oh, well, maybe there's something wrong with me. And this is where it comes down to it. I thought that, lack of better words, I'm being a pussy because I have a different perspective on how I should be towards women. That's what was so wrong.
Which is another thing. Let's teach your fellow male counterparts. Never use that word.
Exactly. It's a dirty word.
No, not that. But like, if we're gonna talk, so it's used to describe something that's weak. Okay, does your parts birth babies? I don't think so, man.
Exactly. Oh.
So it obviously does, as in Joan Rivers, a famous quote. It uses the women's areas, because I don't like the word, because it's turned into something that's used as a negative for negative connotations. But like, it births actual human beings.
Literally everyone is connected to one.
Yes. So I don't want to hear that people calling other people that word. Let's pick a different word.
Yeah.
And stop making fun of people's like weakness.
Can you
anyway.
create a person?
Yeah, I don't think so. Can your male genitalia do that? Well, I guess technically it's involved, but like it doesn't come out of that. Okay.
Soon you won't be needed.
But
all the men just shut it off. Triggered.
But even after high school, I mean, after our dad passed away and everything, I only had one parent to go to, and that was my mom. And I'll be the first to say it. I don't care if this is classified as being a mama's boy. I'm close with my mom. And I love it because you know what? I get a perspective on all sides. And she's kind of like the voice of reason. I don't care what anybody says. You go to your mom in a serious situation, she's your voice of reason. She gives you the best advice that you could possibly ever give. But
you're still learning.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, because
everyone is.
Because you were raised as this masculine. Masculinity is the only way. Because I remember not too long ago when J-Lo was dating Drake. Well, allegedly dating Drake. No one really knows, I guess. They had a couple cutesy Instagrams. But I remember hearing it, being at the dinner table and hearing it. And then she broke up with Drake and then quickly went to A-Rod. And I remember you saying, oh, slut. And I had to...
Jokingly, listeners.
But I had to cut in and be like, whoa. I was like, because you heard nothing about Drake moving from Rihanna to J-Lo very, in a quick amount of time, and then it wasn't just you. It was like a lot of people on like Twitter and stuff, like calling J-Lo out for going from man to man, and that was a huge. But you are at least open to learning. Like, oh wait, okay, I shouldn't say that.
Oh yeah.
But I think a lot of people would immediately, like, if I said that to somebody else who said the same thing, they'd come at me and be like, oh, stupid feminist, you're so sensitive, and you stupid liberal, and on all these insults and stuff. And I'm like, but you say nothing. It's just, it's so cut and dry. Like, it's so, I think it's plain as day. You said nothing to when the man did it, and then the girl does it, and then all of a sudden, then you've got issues. Then all of a sudden, you've got a problem. But at least you are open, which I give you props for, because I think it's not easy for a guy to admit that he is different from what society tells him he should be, and to be proud of being different. I think that takes a lot of guts, because it's the same as, it's so sad, but it's the same as, I give us props, Rissa and I, for being very open about our feminism and proud about it, because if we are put down, you can go on anything, on any Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, they're constantly putting you down.
And by a lot of women, too.
Yeah, that's the saddest thing.
So interesting.
No, and I'm gonna say this right now too. As a man, feminism helps you out a lot. If you look at the pros, and I was really thinking about them, and I was like, just because.
And honestly, it puts less pressure on men.
Yeah. But also I enjoy being nice to people. I enjoy being sensitive and having feelings and having compassion and feeling towards other people, rather than just being like, you know what, grow a pair, move on with your life, rub some dirt on it, type of attitude. There's nothing wrong with having those sort of feelings. There's nothing wrong with feeling bad for someone.
But you know what? You guys are real. Like, I'm realizing this now. You guys are really interesting as siblings, because if you were to classify each other in the classic gender roles, you would be the boy because you have no emotion.
Totally.
You're you're not like.
I don't have many feminine qualities.
No,
really.
And you have a lot. But, you guys are completely reversed.
Yeah, I always said I remember I've had this conversation a lot with my mom, is that she kind of raised me, asexually. Is that I didn't have a gender, really. Mm-hmm. Because I wasn't feminine at all. And I didn't want to be feminine.
I mean, your first day of school, you wore a blazer.
Yes, my boss
like
coat.
a G.
My boss coat, and I had multiple in many different colors. But that's I didn't want to. I was as least feminine as you can possibly get. I literally didn't wear my hair down until I was 20 years old, because that was associated with being feminine, and I didn't want it at all. But again, now that I'm saying this, I almost looked at it I guess it was almost a little misogyny in me. Is because I was so unfeminine, is that I looked at girls who were interested in their appearance and stuff as below me, because I was not willing, I would not conform to that. And so, and I'm just, I just literally had an epiphany.
It's literally like the Madonna quote in What It Feels Like for a Girl. Girls can wear jeans and cut their hair short, wear shorts and boots because it's okay to be a boy. But for a boy to look like a girl, it's degrading because you think being a girl is degrading.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I thought that it was degrading to be a girl, so I went the whole opposite.
No, same.
Not to say this was me. It wasn't that I was made this way into being an unfeminine girl.
But it's just kind of what's pushed on you too. It's what do you see in the media? Who is always the hero? Was now? We're becoming into this whole new age.
I'm totally having an epiphany right now. If you can't hear my mind blowing up, it is. But it's all making sense now.
No, I remember me and my best friend when I was younger, we were two complete tomboys, and we were made fun of it by we used to call them the girly girls.
Yeah.
But we were made fun of, but then we were
you look down on that.
And I remember one time, it's so stupid. My best friend, I was 8 years old, Jill.
Shout out.
I remember one time she started wearing a bun, and for some reason I was like, wow, that's really girly. I was like, what are you doing? You're changing. Stop. We do ponytails and ponytails only.
I know. Oh, man. I'm having an epiphany right now.
Yeah. We did it.
Wow. We
changed. Because we used to look down on the girls oh, they spend all their Saturdays at Abercrombie and looking cute for boys, and we're over here in our basketball shorts with our basketball, and we're missing tooth and overalls.
I totally judged those girls for and who cares if they wanted to be that way?
If that's what they want, if that's what they're interested in, who cares?
But
it's
this is
hurting anyone.
Again, feminism helped us as much as it helped. James realized that. I mean, it takes you a little while, I think, because you're raised a certain way, And it goes back to like when last week when we said in the high school episode is that you hit a point where all of a sudden you stop listening to what you're told and you start questioning things. And this, I think everybody hits that point at some point in their lives, is that whether it's later, James is 26 years old and all of a sudden he's starting to question things of, maybe, things shouldn't go this way. And, like, you've got friends, and maybe they shouldn't be saying stuff like that.
How is it, like, when you see, like, your friends who are, like, super masculine and, like, your friends that are, like, masculine, right? They're, like, super, like...
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? But, like, how is it that, like, now that you're realizing, like, what society has always pushed, and, like, now that, like, do you see, like, some of your friends... Not, like, that they're bad people, but, like, do you just see, like, things that they say, and you're, like, kind of, like,
Yeah, do you
no, absolutely.
There
are things that, like, when I go and scroll through Facebook and I see, like, someone posted something about, like, oh, there was a feminism rally and, someone got punched, and they'll be like, oh, well, they shouldn't be marching there. They deserve it, yada, yada, yada. They shouldn't be chanting what they're chanting. And it's like, no. Like, it's just straight up, no.
Yeah.
And I could say this right now. 3 years ago, I would be like, maybe we got to see both sides.
But now, bottom line, been like, everyone just shut up and like go on with your life.
I was that way. I literally said it earlier in the episode. Is that I literally was that way. Like, just knock it off, okay?
Yeah.
Like, it's not necessary. It's not gonna change anything. But like, look, I have changed you two, so that's 2 more people now in the population that are woke. So like. And who knows? Then you probably woke some of your friends up.
A lot of my friends were pretty woke, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was kind of always the ignorant one. To be truthfully honest, like, I was always pretty ignorant and would say stupid ass shit. But you know what? It's more power to you if you can realize, like, yes, I was ignorant. But I give so much more props to those people who admit that. Yeah. And say, you know what? But like, I've had this friend since we were in, like, 8th grade, and like she would always be like, Marissa, you're being stupid. Like when we were in 8th grade, like you're being stupid, and you're being ignorant. And I'd be like, nothing matters. No one's gonna really take offense. But then like you look back, and like, what the fuck was I thinking?
I think
why didn't someone smack me in the face? A
part of it is like you didn't realize it until, and then again, my other queen is Taylor Swift. But I had read a quote that she had said in a magazine, and she goes, you don't realize it when you're a kid. Until all of a sudden you're an adult and you realize how far you've been held back of everything because of you're a girl. And I think it's so true. Like you don't realize it until it happens to you. Something happens. Something will happen. And all of a sudden you're like, wait, that's not right. I'm not okay with it.
And like just as women, we do it. Like
it just sucks.
Yeah, like you look back and you're like, stop.
I know.
Why are you this way?
I hate you.
I hate you so much.
But there's things we can do. I think we know what girls can do. It's just like, wake up, girls. I mean, like, if you're not for feminism, what is wrong with you? What is seriously wrong with you? And I'm not doing it to pick at you, okay? Where it's just realize you are held back. There's got to be something in your life. You got to realize, like, I didn't, like, we're going back to the beginning of the episode. I didn't realize I was sexually assaulted until probably, like, a year and a half, 2 years later. So there's things that go on that I don't care how long it takes. I don't care how long it takes you to wake up.
99 years old.
When you finally come to me and you say, look, okay, I'm 99 years old. You told me this 50 years ago, and I'm finally, I will hug you, and I hate physical touch, but I will hug you, because I don't care how long it takes. It's just that you finally get there, because it took me a long time, and it was only because, and I didn't have any influence, other, like it's personal, like, in my face influencers who told me, like, sat me down and told me, I was all online for me, but it's very easy to find those things. But I think that the big thing is that we need men's help. At the end of the day, it's not going to be better until we get the men's help. So I got a list of things, boys, that you can do to help women, to help yourself. Because this isn't just a women's issue. I think we've gone over this all episode, is that it helps men just as much as it helps women. And so we got some things. I have a list of things that you can do. But first we're going to go how it helps men. Because I think this is really important because men just think it's a women's issue. But this helps you just as much. So, legally, men weren't included in rape until 2012. If you were raped, and I know it's probably a much lower...
You can't see my face right now, but...
A little shocked going on.
Pretty shocked.
Like the emoji where it's holding its,
I almost just spit out
cheeks.
my beer.
So, like, if you were raped before that, you weren't allowed, like, nothing could happen. Like, you literally couldn't say that you were raped. I don't know how it would, I didn't really look into it, like, if you were raped, what did it go under? But 2012, that's not that long ago.
No, that's what I
That's
got in high
insane.
school.
Like, what if you were, like slipped a drug and raped by a girl, and then, like, nothing could happen? Or maybe it was a boy. Maybe it was maybe a boy raped you. You literally could not do anything about it until 2012. That blew my mind. And then here's another one. Women can now be included in the military. So this is a big one. So say like in Vietnam War, only men were drafted. You didn't choose to be a boy. Like, you didn't choose to be born a boy. So how is that fair that only men were drafted? How is that fair at all?
Sure.
So now women can be included. So now that's, feminism right there. Another one, paternity leave. How is it fair that, yes, the maternity leave needs to be expanded. They don't get nearly enough time as that they deserve.
Yeah.
But paternity leave is also very important because you're staying up all night with that baby too.
Which I also think that a big thing with feminism being, starting to come to, the forefront is more people are becoming feminists because they're having more of a paternal influence in their lives.
Yeah. It's just, it's not fair that men have to stay up all night with a baby too, and then they're expected, they get a couple of days, maybe a week off, and they have to go back. But I actually read this, Facebook, I think, gives 4 months for paternity leave, which I think is so great.
I'm gonna work for Facebook.
Can't we all? Being sensitive as a man and more socially acceptable to be sensitive, which is what we talked about just now with James. That's feminism. And then, and also another point, rethinks outdated masculinity standards. So like it encourages to think more, to communicate more, and being supportive. These are all things.
I lift things up and put them down.
Yeah, like these are all things that are not associated with masculinity. And the last little note that I have is sexism negatively impacts men by forcing them into hypermasculinity, which engages in high-risk behavior and then limits their emotional expression as full human beings. So I know that's like some big words in there. But it makes them do these stupid things that are like, oh, you're a man, you better do this, you're a man.
Like, men are only allowed to feel anger, they're not allowed to feel anything else.
And they're literally taught that from like the moment that they're born. And I think that it's not fair. It's really not fair to be
what
for
was
that for a man.
What was that story you were telling me about the clown? Remember the clown that worked the party and the boy wanted
Oh, yes. So I read this. It was a Twitter thread. And it was this girl, and she was a clown, and she was painting some faces. And this little boy comes up to her, and he wanted a butterfly painted on his face. And the mom immediately runs up, and she's like, no, he's not getting a butterfly. He's a boy. He's not getting a butterfly. And the clown is like, but he wants the butterfly. And the mom was like, no, give him something else. So she made him paint a skull and crossbones on his face, which is, if I see that, I'm thinking, if you were to attach an emotion with the skull and crossbones, I'm thinking anger. So you're forcing anger onto your child's face. And then so she asks the little boy, she whispers to him, she goes, do you want me to put a little blue butterfly next to it? And he goes, yeah, I want that. And the mom and the dad both come out, like, let's bring the dad's masculinity into it too now. So she brings both parents come over and say, no, that's not allowed. He's not doing that. And she's, how sad is it that he's not allowed to think that something as beautiful as a butterfly? He's not allowed to think that's beautiful.
He's only allowed to express himself with anger.
He can only think anger. And this boy, I think she said he was like 5 years old. And this boy is 5 years old, and who knows, 20 years from now, what's going to go in his mind?
You can't become fully emotionally developed with only anger.
No.
As your only outlet. That just leads to, domestic abuse, anger issues.
It leads into so many big things, and I don't know, people might say we're overreacting with something like that, something as simple as painting a face, painting a face. That's just an example. But I think it can go so far.
It's just what it stands for.
Yeah, it's just, and the little boy probably has no idea. But, I mean, if he goes through a shrink.
I'm telling you, if he starts a podcast in 20 years.
Now you're going to know.
He's going to have an epiphany during the podcast. Like, I should have had that fucking blue butterfly on my face.
So I have some things. So we went over how it helps men. Now we're going to have what men can do to help. Because, like we said before, men, you've got a very powerful voice. You can really help us. And it's by doing really simple things. I'm not asking you to come and get a tattoo that says feminism. I'm not asking for that.
But if you want to do it, do it.
I mean, I'm not against it. Like, I'll put that on our Instagram.
I'll retweet it.
But, okay, so one of the things I have is recognize your gender privilege. Recognize that you do have privilege, which is what I tell James all the time. Like, recognize that your voice is much more powerful than mine is. That it means a lot.
Yeah.
And then, share stories of hurting women through your own oppressive behavior. So, like when I said that J-Lo story. Share, like, you know what? Like, I said this one time, and I was really wrong, and I was wrong because of this. Because any boy, and like Rissa and I are sharing our own stories of how we've been oppressive to women. And we were dumb and stupid. I'm sure I still have mistakes today that I do stupid things.
Mm-hmm.
But misogyny and the patriarchy is so deeply ingrained. Yes. It's subliminal messages. So it's so deeply ingrained into all of our minds. And I think... share your stories of doing that and admit that it was wrong and how you can and get better be better than that. And then, you know what? Talk to feminists. Learn about it. Talk to us. Yeah, Rissa and I, we're always
on
open.
The gram.
On the Twitter. James, I think, has learned so much in like a year. Just in a year. I mean, you have so much more informed about things.
If you could crack my head open like an egg, and you shot a fire hose of feminism down into that little egg, that's my head.
Yeah, that's what we have done. But you know what? And support feminists. If you see something on going on in the news, support that. Tweet it. Facebook it. Put it on your new status.
Don't
support
assume
them.
we're trying to take something from you, because we're not.
No, just you have to support them. Show your open support for them. And and challenge other men to open their minds. Challenge them, because when you challenge them, you're making them rethink everything that they know. And I know that this is a hard one, because you're asking, so someone like James, who is a feminist, you're asking you to go and challenge some of your guy friends. Yeah, and go against everything that they know. I know that's probably the toughest one on this whole list. Because I know if you go up to some of your friends and you say something about feminism, they're probably going to call you a pussy or something like that. And first of all, you say, no, I'm not hearing that word. Do not speak that word. Yeah.
I am a pussy, but I'm a strong fucking man.
So it's just like, I think that's probably the hardest one. And it's so sad because it's not a bad thing. Yeah. And it's so sad that people view it.
No,
so
you know what?
many
If they
people
call
view
you a
it as a
pussy,
bad
be
thing.
like, thank you. Thank you.
I birth humans.
I'm amazing.
And you know what? And engage in conversation. And so it's engaging conversation is only
open
learning.
up this conversation.
Yeah.
And just opening the conversation will make things 1,000 times better.
Just learning. That's all it is. I'm still learning. I really, I'm still, just a couple weeks ago, I'm learning about white feminism and how I can stray away from that. And I'm still learning so much. I'm researching things until this morning about this episode. There's just so much. It's really an ever-ending thing.
James made notes for this episode, guys.
Yes, the first
I did a thing.
The first time James has actually made notes, and it was
even
for this
including
episode.
School.
Yeah, and it was
12 years.
It was this episode. So these are all things that a man can do, which women can also do. I'm not just saying women. You can also do this. But, because I know there are a lot of women that if I post something about feminism, there's so many girls that won't like it or won't even talk to me about it because they think it is a bad thing, which is
also,
so sad.
Don't put down each other. I
no.
fucking still do it to this day. But
yeah.
But then later I kind of think, I'm damn, I did it again.
I know. It's hard because
it's a constant battle that you gotta do. Because we're honestly always trying to put people down.
Yeah.
It's kind of like human nature.
I was just having a conversation with my friend last night about two pop queens.
Yeah.
And I wasn't arguing about who was better. I guess it was an underlying thing that was going on, and I kind of thought of it after. I'm like, no.
Because I feel like as
we're already put down enough.
I feel like as humanity as a whole, we feel to rise something up, we need to put something down.
Yeah.
But it's not true.
No, there's nothing good comes from putting someone down. You know what? Empowered women empower women, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're an empowered woman, then you only empower other women. You would never ever put another woman down, because if she's doing her thing, then all the power to her.
And we're all work in progress. So
yes.
As long as you're trying, then I'm happy.
So
if you slip up, fine. Just admit that you
yes.
slipped up.
Yeah. So I have a little quote that I'd like for you to all think about. I'm not going to explain. It's by Margaret Atwood, who wrote The Handmaid's Tale. Really good series. Down. Yes, really good series. If you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend it. And finish it. Yes, because Rissa got to the last episode for some reason and didn't finish it like an idiot.
Hit us up on Instagram. Our Instagram is
PorkRoll.Vs.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
It's PorkRoll.Vs.Taylorham.
All right.
So hit us up on you can DM us if you don't want to comment on something, but commenting is super cool.
So this quote, Margaret Atwood, as I said, the quote is, "Men are afraid women will laugh at them. Women are afraid that men will kill them."
Just think on it.
I just want you to think on it.
Our next feminist episode, we'll talk about it more.
Yes.
But if you have anything to say on it, just add us on Twitter or comment on a picture or DM us, and we'll share your beliefs and talk about them.
So, just another final thought. Every feminist will tell you men have so much more to bring to the table than physical strength or a paycheck, as James was saying before. And that we would love a world in which men were free to be resilient and tender and ambitious and nurturing and expressive and emotional. We would love that. Just any feminist, any real true feminist will tell you that. And Donald Trump may not agree with that. He thinks that a man should be this strong, powerful, grabbing women's genitals. But women make up half the country. And since we aren't going back in time, because I refuse to go back in time.
I refuse. That does not look good on me.
The same men who have been hostile to feminism should consider coming along with us. Mm-hmm. They joined the right side of history, because history has its eyes on you, men. I suspect for a lot of men, a more equal America, one with fewer cultural rules about how a man should be, and more avenues to identify and respect, would be a pretty great America to live in. When you've got men, be whatever you want to be. Women, be whatever you want to be. That is the bottom line what feminism is about. Now, I want to thank you all for listening. I hope we've cleared some things up. And hopefully I've made you into a feminist. Even if we didn't, you've made it this far. You made it to the end of the episode. And I respect and appreciate that. I like to think that I hear other people out. I try to hear other opinions and see things from a different point of view. So I really, really respect when someone else does the same for me. Lastly, I'd like to say I'm very proud of James for going outside of what society has told him.
Good job, and this must have been hard.
Yeah, and
it is, because you know what? Being from my point of view and being sensitive and everything like that, being an emotional human being, I'm okay with being like that.
Yeah, and for the most part, I feel like you've had to try to hide that.
Yeah.
But absolutely.
Show your fucking sensitive side.
Yeah.
No, for real. And I don't give a fuck. Exactly. I will show my fucking sensitive side.
Props for that. And, for going
outside
of...
Thank you for sitting down and doing this episode and opening yourself up.
Yeah.
I'm saying this, too, to any of our male listeners right now. Be fucking sensitive. I'll tell you what. You're happier when you actually feel something for someone. When you're actually compassionate for something. It feels so much better than just kind of brushing it off like it's fucking dust.
Do it.
But it's I'm really proud of that. I'm proud of Rissa for letting me shove things down her throat. That's what she said. But
Jesus Christ.
I'm happy that people are seeing things differently and
just educate yourself, guys. Yeah. That's honestly, I was an ignorant asshole. And honestly, you're gonna read some stuff and you're gonna have to do some self-reflecting.
You're helping others. At the end of the day, you're helping others. You're helping yourself. You're helping others.
People of your own cunt, man.
Yeah, but it's sad. but it takes a lot of guts for someone to say they're a feminist. It's really sad it's reached that.
But I will warn you, once your eyes are open, nothing's safe.
Hopefully this all changes soon. I'm hoping in our lifetime, I'm hoping that people are more feminist, have a little bit of touch of feminism in them. We'll see.
We're hoping. Fingers crossed.
But until next week. Oh, and I saw we only have 3 reviews on iTunes.
Yeah, and some reviews. Looking at you, nice. Sam.
They're really nice reviews, but like I need more nice reviews. Okay, I need people to tell me that I'm great.
And if you guys have a podcast, hit us up on the gram or Twitter. We'll listen to yours. We'll review you. You review us.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'll totally do that.
There we go.
Guys, we need reviews.
Podcast supporting podcast. So, until next week, everybody, have a great week. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.